There was a time when the earth did not feel like a home, but like a frozen graveyard. The sky lost its warmth, the sun felt distant, and a deadly silence spread across the world. This was not a sudden disaster, not an explosion, not a war. It was something much slower, much more terrifying. A creeping cold that wrapped itself around the planet and refused to let go. Ice began to form in places that had never known snow. Rivers stopped flowing, oceans slowed, and the winds carried a sharp bite that no fire could defeat. Civilizations that once thrived under warm skies slowly realized that their world was changing, but by the time they understood the danger, it was already too late. Year by year, the cold grew stronger, seasons lost their meaning. Summer stopped arriving, crops failed, animals vanished, and hunger became a daily companion. Massive walls of ice began expanding from the polar regions, moving silently across continents. These were not just glaciers. They were moving mountains of frozen death, grinding forests into dust and turning cities into frozen ruins. Villages disappeared without screams, buried under storms so thick that even the stars vanished from the night sky. Families held each other for warmth, while outside their homes, the world slowly turned into solid stone, made of ice. The animals of the ancient world felt it first. Mammoths with thick fur wandered through endless snow in search of grass that no longer grew. Saber-toothed cats prowled through blizzards, starving and desperate. Some creatures adapted, growing thicker coats and learning to dig through ice for survival. Others were not so lucky. They collapsed where they stood, their bodies swallowed by snow, preserved perfectly in frozen time. Even the oceans changed. Massive sheets of ice covered the water, and living creatures beneath the surface struggled in a world that was losing oxygen and warmth. For human beings, survival became a test of spirit. They did not have machines, buildings, or technology. They only had fire, stone tools, and the will to live. Small groups abandoned their homes and began walking toward lands where the ice had not yet reached. They carried children, memories, and the last hope of humanity on their backs. Inside frozen caves, they burned tiny fires that flickered like fragile hearts in a dead world. Every breath felt like broken glass inside their lungs. Every sunrise felt like a miracle that might not come again. And yet, they survived. These people became hunters of the ice. They followed herds of animals across frozen plains. They wore the skins of beasts to keep their bodies alive. They learned to listen to the wind, to feel the movement of the ice, and to respect the silence of a world that could kill them in a heartbeat. These were not kings or warriors from history books. These were ordinary humans who refused to disappear. Every child alive today carries their strength in their blood. For thousands of years, the earth remained trapped inside this frozen prison. Ice-covered mountains, fields, rivers, and valleys. The world forgot the color green. The planet itself felt like it had stopped breathing. Then, slowly, something changed. The sun began to feel warmer. The winds softened. Cracks appeared in the endless white. Water began to flow for the first time in centuries. The ice started to melt, not in a dramatic flood, but in quiet tears that ran across the land. Forests slowly returned. Rivers cut new paths through the soil. Animals came back, and humans once again built lives on land that had once tried to kill them. But the earth was never the same again. Oceans rose. Coastlines changed. Mountains were shaped by the crushing weight of glaciers. The scars of the Ice Age were carved into the planet, and they are still visible today in valleys, cliffs, and frozen plains hidden beneath modern cities. Now, we live in a world that feels stable. Warm homes, bright cities, endless lights. We rarely look at the ground beneath our feet or the ancient layers of ice buried deep below the surface. We forget that once, the earth almost erased us. We forget that civilization is not permanent. Nature does not promise safety. It only follows its own rhythm. And somewhere beneath the silent ice, the memory of that frozen world still sleeps, waiting, watching, reminding us that the earth does not belong to us. We belong to it, and if the cold ever returns, we will once again learn what it truly means to survive.